Welcome to Accountants Law Pod, where accounting professionals and law firms converge. Hosted by Lynda Artesani, Sarah Prevost, and Steven Libhart.
Well, hello. How are you both?
Hi,
Good.
Sarah.
Hi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Happy Easter Monday.
I know that. I can't believe it's April.
No, I can't either.
Yeah, it's going fast, really fast. So do you guys want to talk? What was that, Lynda?
I think we say that every week. It's going by fast.
It's going by fast, yeah. Well, you guys want to talk about future things? Like future of the
Well, Steve said we're going back to the abacus, so
yeah, maybe we'll do full circle and go back.
Steve. That means there's an apocalypse if we're going back.
Well, then I'm going to buy shares in abacuses. Abacuses?
Abaci.
Abaci. I like that. I'd like 100 shares of Abaci, please.
New words today. Well, our topic is the future of legal accounting, trends and predictions. That's so big, but we obviously know the biggest trend is the AI trend.
Is AI,
yeah.
And how it's being used. In fact, yesterday when I was at my Easter brunch thing, and family friends from years ago from Rhode Island, and they're always so curious because they've been retired for a while, and they're like, ooh, and two doctors, right? So they're like, oh, and what's happening in your world? And I said, well, obviously AI. Oh, yeah. I said, AI, if you follow it, even though you're retired, it's pretty big in the medical field as well.
Yeah.
And then they were asking me a lot of questions about it and how are you guys looking at it and what are you doing? And I was like telling them how Sarah and I are kind of looking at it and how lawyers look at it, because you don't want to be in the wild west of Chat GPT. Even with, you have to do a presentation and we asked it to give us some statistics. Always double check your statistics and ask for the source, because it wants to please you. Rex wants to please me. He didn't do a very good job taking me to the place that I had to go yesterday because he didn't like where we were going on our drive. Rex is my AI in my car, and I have a Tesla, so he drove me there, and he was like he struggled with it was a place called the Hideout, and it literally was down these long,
that's not appropriate.
A place ever go, right? We're driving, I'm going, where the hell is this place? And the car didn't like it either, because it does really well, but it didn't seem to. I'm like, what is going on? Even we were making like one turn, like the road made like a hairpin turn, and it started putting a directional on. There was only one way you could go. There was one road, and it's like it didn't know what to do. And it tried to get in wrong lanes. It was funny to watch how confused it got, where it's been so spot on here and where I live in Stero. Beautifully, it works perfectly. But over there, it really had trouble because I'm like, maybe it's not getting an internet signal, because it was so weird where we were. It was so far out in the middle of nowhere, hence the Hideout. I couldn't even get it because, Mike's like, show them how the car will come to you. I couldn't even get it connect to Summit because there was no, AT&T was just maybe it was a Verizon land or something, but didn't work.
Which is a really good point to AI, because everyone thinks it's going to be automated accounting services. And that is the laughing joke, to be honest with you. It is not automated. There's validation, to your point, Lynda, and it will break. And how would you know? Are you trained to understand how you would know? Accounts payable, accounts receivable, all of that stuff. Like, it's a really kind of interesting segue that you just landed on.
True. Steve might be talking to Fiona and she's just telling him everything he wants to hear. And then,
I reached a point with her where I really challenge her. I'm like, I want it to be brief, concise, less than 10 lines long or whatever. And she's really
chatty.
She's really pinpointing things. But I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to. And I agree with you, Sarah. I mean, when AI first came along, I was like, oh boy, what is this? We're scared it's going to take our jobs away. I don't think it's going to take away as many jobs as people think. And I see more and more articles now where they're like, no, it's not. It's just going to change you. But I'm looking forward to developing an accounting three-way reconciliation for trust that will pinpoint the anomalies right away.
Yeah.
And give suggestions right away. That'll really help.
You got to learn your prompts, though. You got to have the prompts. If you don't know the right prompts, you're never going to even get there, because that's the biggest part of it. And it does kind of help you now with prompting, but
yeah,
you got to know what you're doing.
There's so many. Well, and I was listening to someone talk about which is very true in a lot of our spaces, is if you wanted to build an app, which happened in accounting for a while there, where we would use these
Everybody's making
practice
it.
management services and all of this and all of that. And we were like, it was all separate, right? And you want to
Right.
build an app to bring it all together. Okay, well, that is more tangible than it used to be. So that level of industry in that space, that is shifting, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you what's being offered for people to study and so forth, that's probably going to shift in a big, big way. But I do see there are pieces to, if you, like Lynda said, you prompt it correctly, you're learning as an accounting firm how to move with the tools to kind of raise the bar. I wonder what our app space will look like. Because in the beginning, what,
Yeah.
22, they were kind of just eventually just layering it in like a
They
little,
were just sticking it on top and saying, I
yeah,
got
on
AI in
top.
my tool, you know,
Yeah, yeah. But
which
now,
is kind of what QuickBooks has done.
true,
Because
true.
they were trying to develop their own. And I don't know what happened there,
Hmm.
but then they ended up partnering up with ChatGPT and layering it on top. I'm told, I actually listened to the QuickBooks, unofficial QuickBooks podcast the other day, and I'm told that it actually does learn and get smarter with the bank feeds the more you keep feeding in the correct ones. I've not seen that yet.
I have not seen that.
So I'm sorry, I have to disagree with you, Alicia, if you're listening. I have not seen that result.
Yeah.
I find that I don't trust it. I can't like
Exactly.
yeah, I don't have that kind of
I
layer of
think that's
confidence.
an interesting segue to the conversation, Linda, when we talk about previous ways of like, we were, you have bank rules and you have those sorts of things, and those never reliably always hit the nose. And like reading a
Correct.
bank memo. So if the bank memo changes how it
Mhm.
comes in, does the rule actually work? Does
But
the
shouldn't it
AI
adapt?
tool?
Shouldn't it
Ex
adapt?
that's where I'm kind of going with
I'm
it.
not seeing
That's
the
why I
adapting
struggle with this
adapting.
this idea that it is
Mhm.
getting better as it goes. Well, shouldn't it have been all of this time? It's
It
had
should be
so much
better,
data.
not worse. And it seems to be not as good as it was originally. Like I
Yeah.
was
I
all excited
agree.
when it came
Yeah.
out. It doesn't seem like that. And maybe if somebody actually sat me down and took me in the Wayback Machine and said, this is the original and this is where you are now, sure, fine. But I don't know if you've all tried even using the reconciliation feature where you upload the statement into their system and you have it do the reconciliation.
Hmm. Yeah.
That is, if it hits zero, beautiful. 2 seconds, great. I mean, a little bit more than that 'cause you have to let it grind it out.
Yeah.
I've found though that if it doesn't read it right, I've tried to sit with it. It's taking me 5 times the amount of time to figure out
Yeah.
what the heck they're trying to tell me. I just go back to the old way because I don't have time for that. And then I go back to the old way. It's like maybe one or
Well,
two transactions, but it'll show 15 don't match.
to the point of thinking that these business owners and law firm owners are going to have AI do this low level work.
Yeah, this,
No, I'm sorry. You don't, this tool does not understand what it's missing. It doesn't understand if the bank breaks and there's a gap, or if the fee changes or the wording shifts. There's all of these little
you have to have
nuances,
enough knowledge.
repetitive numbers. It does not know how to, it doesn't actually do
It doesn't
repetitive
add
numbers.
well still. That's shocking to me. Like, I said that
Yeah.
yesterday when I was talking to my friends. I'm like, it doesn't add well. And to me, it's computers, it's numbers, binary. But why
Hmm.
why doesn't it add well? Why?
Hmm. Yeah.
Because it's so hell bent on making you happy that it's
So
just like, well, this is what she wants to see at the bottom, and the math doesn't work. You have to double check the math sometimes. It's like,
what do you both think in this day and age now, as we're looking towards the future, some of the kind of the basic foundational, I'll call them basic foundational, the pieces, not just the data entry stuff, but and being able to understand where things go. What about the accounts payable, accounts receivable, and all the additional layers? What do you guys think that that's going to look like with, the future prediction of it? Because banks are shifting. That's another big piece. Banks are shifting in
mhm.
a big, big way.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Behind, but they are shifting. So what
Well,
do
they
you
also
guys
have to worry about like security, and that's probably part of the slowness of they have to do it right because they have to test it. I mean, security is so big, and we see, well, we're on Wiser, the Wise thing that's here
Yeah,
enough for us to train us. And every time I watch the videos, I'm like, oh my God, it's just everyone gets smarter and smarter, and you have to really step back and look at things to see if it's actual or not, or is this
yeah,
something that somebody thought up to, just right down to like, are you a human box? And you know how we just check it off like, oh crap, there's that, are you a human? And that could actually take you into a bad place. Somebody thought of that. It's like, yes. So there's always a lot of bad people out there that think of things. So I think for banks, for sure, I'm sure that'll get better. We think back to what we did with banks years ago. You went into the bank. Now you don't even go into the bank anymore. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
You do.
It's
Nobody's sitting at the desk. So,
nobody's there, right? If
I
you
know it's
call,
a
you're
lot of
calling another
empty
state.
spaces in there. They might as well
Yeah.
just start co-sharing and like,
Sarah, to your point, or to your question about, and I'm going to jump on accounts payable. It's so subjective and
okay, yeah.
so hands-on for so many
With
businesses.
billing, with attorney billing, it is for
Attorney
sure.
billing. Now, in Clio, I've seen 3 different clients that we work with here are using AI to groom their comments on the client bills. Have you guys run across that?
No.
See,
On the
that's
Clio, when you bill the view, when you view the bill, when you bill the view in Clio, it'll say right there, and it could be an add-on that they put in there. I don't know, that the client put in there, but it'll say there, description AI generated or groomed or whatever.
Oh,
It's
so the
warning you.
AI is creating the potential description for the client
It's
if they
cleaning
said.
up the descriptions. And so over the weekend, I was reading some of these
smart.
in 3 different clients, and I was like, wow, look at this.
Yeah.
Pretty
Now that's
amazing.
smart. That's pretty
That's a
cool
good use case for it.
that's a good use case. But
Yeah.
if you think, okay, so the foundational stuff could, like you both said, subjective on both sides, ARAP, the
Right.
tricky multi-entities, because as we know, business owners are getting more complex in the way we live in a world where people don't own just one business. There's multiples to it. So that's a complex situation. You have to really understand what you're doing there. And then when you go to make these decisions, I think what the biggest shift, my impression is the biggest shift that could change is the way that you can speak to the tools and maybe building something that allows you to have the ability to kind of have a deeper insight versus, and I'm going to pick on Intuit right now. You go in, Lynda and I could pull up, and I'm sure you're the same, Steve. We could pull up a P&L, depending on the report style and depending on if we're looking at the AI tool, we can spot the inconsistencies of the data.
Yeah, I know. It's so frustrating.
And you want it to give you that highlight, but then you look at it and sometimes you have to ask yourself, am I reading what it just gave me as what it thinks it is actually correct? And so that's where I think there's a new skill set to that level, that
Oh, I'm
component
glad
for
you
the
brought that
accounting.
up. Yeah, because
Yeah.
so many people, there's so much animosity going on right now, not to pick on QuickBooks, but with the data that we're looking at and how you can move from one screen to the other and it switches on you. And you're like, wait a minute. I
Or
did
it
put
sends you
that.
back to your own file. I had that happen when I was running a payroll for a client. All of a sudden, it was in my file and my name was there, like I was on their payroll. I didn't switch companies at all. It just showed up that way, and I'm
Uh-huh.
like, this is scary. Hopefully, it can't happen with a client doing that, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just that's the stuff. But I think with the way things are today, I think there will be, I think jobs will be eliminated, but I think there'll be other jobs that will be created, just like every
Yeah.
other time we've had a
It'll
technology
evolve,
shift.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll just be different. And I think you got
Yeah.
to stay on top of it. You can't be, I'm
Yeah.
not going to use AI in my firm and think you're going to be sailing through the future. Even for us, Steve, I mean, it'd be nice to say that, but I don't think, and I'm sure there's people out there that are doing it. That
Well,
are like,
remember when the cloud came along and everybody was like, I'm not using that.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Do
how
you
many
remember
clients
that?
do we still have that don't connect their bank?
Oh my God, yeah, that's crazy.
I
Or
mean,
they're in
still today.
desktop. They're in
Yeah.
desktop.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
desktop softwares that are still out there for legal and why
hmm
break what's not broken? And it's like, well, you're missing out on the fact that a lot of these pieces are now automated. So if you sit back and don't follow the trends, you're going to fall behind really quick because I think in today's age, even with the cloud came and we were like, whoa, it's really coming fast. This is faster. And I think if you don't
It is
invest
faster.
in it, invest in time to learn it, I
hmm
think you're going to be really left behind fairly quickly. And nobody wants to be that, I don't think.
So, what's interesting to me is that the evolution of who we are as firm owners, as
Hmm.
individuals working in this industry, and how it's going to shift. And I do see it shifting where you have to have a certain skill set of understanding what tools you're using at a deeper level and knowing how to work it, like you're saying, Linda, prompting and so forth. And then Steve, I think when you look kind of like when you look to the future and you're seeing what kind of person like maybe you would hire to bring into your firm, that's a gap that I feel like is going to happen. I think it might work for a certain generation, like my son's
Sure.
generation, who's already
Mhm.
used to using it, whether the schools are teaching it or not. They're just that's their natural tendency.
I hope the schools are starting to teach it.
There is, but then there's, of course, there's bumpers and guidance because of course, writing and skill set and
Hmm.
knowledge and
Yeah,
thinking.
that's
I
true.
mean, we said it internally. I was doing something and Linda's like, God, we won't have to think anymore if we're not too careful. And I was like, yeah, that's so true. But you also need the experience and the knowledge
Hmm.
of how do you look at something and understand it's real.
Yeah.
So there's that whole gap of evolution that I think people just, we've always, in our industry, it's always been advisor, advisor, advisor. What the heck is that? What does that mean? Well, I think these tools are going to really push that envelope.
Which means we don't need to be the advisor, right?
Yeah.
We're the data keeper, but are we really going to need to be the advisor if the tools are going to be able to extrapolate the data and spit that
We're
out?
going to have to
Because
be the validation group. We're going to have to be
right.
the compliance group in that sense.
So, I
Like,
mean, but the fact that what they kept saying we needed to do
yeah.
is really something that can be eliminated, just like doing
Hmm.
tax returns. I can see that going by the wayside. They're happy they plug it into
Oh,
the system.
please.
But but now you're going to be able to maybe pull that out and it might not be as hard. You might still need the expertise depending on your complexity. Like Sarah said,
Oh,
there's a lot of
yeah.
multi business owners. So we run
Yeah.
into this a lot, which I think is why Intuit's going
Yeah.
down the Intuit Suite trail, right? They know
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who are entrepreneurial and they start a business and then they get another idea. Well, we're it, Sarah. And they start another, and you got another business and you've got another business. And then all of a sudden we've got all these businesses.
Hmm.
And do you want to know, what do you want to know what you are overall worth with all of them collectively? And that's the
Mm.
thing. Do you
Yeah.
want to know your
Sure.
value?
Yeah.
Now there's a real world way to use it. That makes
Yes.
sense.
That makes
But
sense.
each
Yeah.
business is so different. Each industry is so
Yes.
different. And I
Hmm.
And
don't see
already we
the
got
issue.
clients that move things from left pocket to right pocket thinking,
Oh, yeah.
doesn't matter. This is this company. This is an S corp. This is an LLC. Doesn't matter if I just kind of shuffle the money around. It's like
Yeah.
it does. It does.
Do you both think that we might be more current in, like, as we get better with these tools, we would be more current day versus, because cash flow is a big thing,
More real
always.
world.
More
Mhm.
real world. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out the right words
Real
for this.
time
Real
data.
time.
That was the
Yeah.
big catch
Yeah.
phrase
Yeah.
for a while, right?
Yeah.
I
Real time
think
data.
so.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think so. I
Hmm.
just, for working with lawyers and legal accounting, I just feel that because there's so much wiggle room for error because of the way the
A
data
ton.
is put in with
Hmm.
Clio or lien law, it's over here, and then the bank is validating over here. If you don't have somebody that can make sure that it's all lining up properly,
Hmm.
then you're still going to need us in the short run anyway for this because it's not going to
I think
flag.
it's in the long run because if you think about, Linda, the complexity of when a settlement happens, the
Yeah.
tools do not understand the cadence for which it needs to work and
Well,
all
every
the little
settlement is
pieces.
different.
Every settlement's different.
Yeah.
Ah,
I think there's a use case, and this is interesting as you were talking earlier, Steve. There could be a use case where a firm owner is like, how can I get better? Okay, well, let's see if it can like look at the last several bills, look at the time inefficiencies, show us the gaps, and then
Mhm.
that could be a dialogue. But there's still human behavior in all of this.
Yeah.
We still have to collectively work together. So it's going to be, I think, our future as firms. I think firms in accounting themselves will be different. Legal firms also are shifting too, because we see it with the courts, right? We see it
Mhm.
with how they're able to use tools and what's allowed and not allowed. And I
Mhm.
think to Linda's point, it is like literally light speed movement right now. And we don't see a lot of governing bodies moving as fast as that. So
Which
we're
never
at the front
does.
end of it. We're going to have to
Yeah.
be tighter about these
Yeah.
compliance moments.
Because security and cyber risks are
Yes,
huge in this. And
huge.
because it's just making those things, tweaking them to be better. They can copy your voice, they can copy your likeness, they can do a
Oh,
lot. I worry about people in Florida that are older and they're not really involved in this, that they're retired, they play pickleball,
mhm.
they play tennis, and they hear about it, but they don't really know a lot about it. And I was just watching even this morning on the news, and the lady was interviewing somebody about AI and about the war and different things. And she said to the expert, who was I don't know if he was with Harvard or some college, and they teach AI, And she said, as people start to use it more and more, and he goes, I use it all day long, every day in my business. And she was like, what? She couldn't believe that. And I'm thinking, yeah, you kind of think about it. We do use it a lot all day long now. It's not just a little bit. We're not just correcting our emails anymore. And this has happened that fast. Right. So, although it's a great tool for that. But like I said, I told you I think both of you were on when I was talking about it, that somebody wrote, you really need to write essays because you don't want to lose the skill of reasoning and thought, and writing is such a profound, trait that we can pull from that. If we start letting this thing think for us, we're going to lose those skill sets, because it's just like me driving my car and without driving. I hop in the car, I go, hey, take me to the golf course, and it just drives me there.
That's just insane.
So it's right. But I mean, that alone is just something in a day-to-day, and you're going to see more and more of that kind of stuff eventually, which is probably going to be a good thing. Maybe less accidents. You won't have people flying by. I'm sure there's still always going to be people driving, but I think that the future is changing really fast, and this is the stuff, with trends. We see the trends. We see the AI starting to come into products. Prediction wise, it's really going to be like the Wild West. I think we're going to have a bumpy ride to begin with, because we have to figure this out before it smooths out like the cloud, right?
Yeah. Well, and to your point, when you were struggling with your vehicle, that's going to happen. So now we have a new way of thinking of probably backup systems. How do we move? How do we actually operate businesses?
I just took it over. How do you move into if you don't have the skill set to drive, because now my grandson gets there and he doesn't need to drive. He can get in the car and tell it where to go. You don't have that. You have to have that skill set. And I think the same with all the other guys, right?
Yeah. Well, Steve, you have been through the nitty-gritties of internal workings with firms. And I could see if you had your Fiona, your AI tool with you, being that collaborative piece of ensuring, do I have everything in correctly here for the next billing cycle? Is everything on time? Analyze this data, show me where my things are at. And then you have the skill set to understand, okay, I can look at that and go, is that actually accurate? I know where to find it. To Lynda's point, driving the vehicle, learning how. Correct. That's the skill set. That's that gap.
I think that law firms will really embrace docketing too, AI docketing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, because there's so many errors that are made in docketing, especially when you're going from a lower court into a appellate court, or as you're working your way up the channels in court cases, the docketing becomes even more intense. Yeah. And I could see AI taking that over all the way. But I don't think that there's going to be a comfort level with AI moving lawyers' money around and making those decisions and fixing things and having that human touch, just because of the type of work they do. Same with the medical field. AI is huge in the medical field, but
really
it's and there's robots doing surgery and all those sort of things, but it's still it's like a new toy.
Yeah, you brought something up with the medical field. You know how you go in your doctor's offices now and they ask if it's okay if they take the notes, right? And they're going to listen. I think it's interesting because it's like that for us when we listen back to a meeting. Like, what did we miss? Can you tell us what we might ask it maybe a general thing and then kind of finite it, or ask it very critical questions. Well, it's interesting because the perspective, we did this recently, Lynda and I, and the perspective it gave us opened our mindset up to a different way of thinking we otherwise wouldn't have thought. So this is interesting that you bring it up in the medical field, because it is true of our own meetings. Like, our own meetings are gold mines of data, of information.
Sarah thought to take this meeting and throw it in and kind of analyze it from a plain old perspective of, like, your new eyes on this. What do you see? Watch the video, whatever, and analyze the video. And it spit out, it actually looked from a neutral perspective. This is what you two are thinking as we were in this meeting together. And this is what the other person was thinking. And you were missing. You were two different planes. It was fascinating. And you can do that. We've already done it with a client meeting. We had a meeting with a potential client. It didn't go well. It went well. We thought it was good. And then we got turned down. That's business. That's part of business. But we wanted to see, was there something that we missed that we didn't? How can we improve?
Basically, that's smart.
How can we improve? Yeah. And I know Sarah's just like, she comes up with these ideas and it's great.
Well,
like,
it's
oh, let
my
me see.
genuine curiosity. I think that's where I want to go with this in the end of it is the future is it feels so crazy right now. It feels so, I don't know, like you said, Linda, Wild West and so like out there. But then when you think about it, that curiosity, if you allow yourself to be curious and kind of
Hmm.
keep going, and that's I feel like been the balance for the three of us in our
Hmm.
friendships together, in our inquisitive, like we'll ask each other questions, not to challenge each other, but just to sort of like, hey, are you thinking about it this way? So I feel like that's what this is it's that tool. I can see where solos could actually, this would be their best friend sometimes, not that you want like your business partner
But it
in
can
some
help you
ways.
with marketing. You know, when you're
Yeah,
solo, you got to do all these things. Marketing's
yeah,
it's a great
it
tool for
is.
marketing.
Yeah.
It helps with a lot of things that in the past we always had to do manually. I mean, just like PowerPoint, right? It's just, and it's so many ways to do things quicker. Still got to go through it. Still got to tweak it. You should, even if you're
Mhm.
using it for marketing and you're writing blog posts, you really, first of all, need to know how to write, and second of all, you need to add your own spin to it, your own flair. But it can help you think of ideas. Sometimes you can ask it to give you a list, and then you're like, nope, that's not what I was looking for, and then maybe you can come up with other ideas off
Mhm.
of the ideas that they gave you. So I think it's using the tool. It's using
Yeah.
the tool and refining what you're doing now and helping maybe save time in places. I think that that's kind of the stepping stone to getting to where it is when it's finally like magical and it's smarter than we are, because that day's coming too, where it's going to become smarter than us.
Hmm.
Well, over the weekend, I was following the Artemis spaceship on its way to the moon.
Oh
Isn't it
yeah.
And
cool?
they kept talking about how the Apollo missions back in the 1960s went to the moon and back with a computer that had less strength than our cell phones have, less
Can you
data.
imagine?
Yeah. But the thought came across my
Woo,
mind of,
that's weird.
but they still have to talk to Houston.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah, and
think,
they still, I mean, it was fun to watch them though, because they're seeing it for the first time, and we're actually getting amazing footage, right? We never had that before either. It was
Mhm.
always kind of, and now it's like you're looking at it on FaceTime with it, and
Yeah.
then you're watching them and just seeing them see the Earth from that perspective. And one of the astronauts was like, I can see this and this star and this star, and it's so like I knew I was going to see this, but it's so different than what I expected. I
Hmm.
think that's what's really cool about it. It's really an exciting time that we live in for sure.
it
Hmm.
is. And the same thing with AI. I mean, it's this whole new frontier, but we still have to remember the basics. They're
You know,
still there,
you brought
you
it
know.
up, Steve. He said it. One of the astronauts said it. We're you guys are asking me about everything up here, and I'm saying we're so fortunate to live on a planet where we're grounded and we have all these things. And
Yeah.
you're right, Steve. There is still so much to learn and to understand and to be, I mean, yes, our industries are shifting, probably more parallel between legal and accounting than a lot
Hmm.
of other industries in a lot of it, a lot of ways. But
Well, I think we have a
it's
safety net
changed.
because of legal.
It
Think
could
about
be. I
that.
mean, I think it's true of any, though, any account. Like if you think of a generalist, I mean, we're not as much anymore, right? But you think of those
Correct.
generalists out there, you have to have a skill set, probably a higher level skill set to understand multiple industries
You
and be able
do.
to slide through it. And that's there, you're always going to need, like to Linda's point, you need those foundational pieces. You need to understand how to drive the car, whether you drive it or not, because you may have to take over, and you have to understand the protocols that are going to happen. What's going to happen to us, I feel, in the industry is it's going to push our compliance level into a more of a not a challenge, but more of a controllership style, more further than what it has been before. Who does hit all of the movements? Who has the access to sign these things? I
Hmm.
banks, it'll be interesting what banks are going to do.
Hmm.
Our banks are not as, at the forefront as probably they should be, and they're trying. But those are archaic
Be
in
afraid.
pieces. Yeah, I know.
Archaic, like the government's computer systems.
Oh my
Mhm.
gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because when I hear from my friend that lives in Europe, and they share with me like how they can move very easily between, the EU, and how everything's digital and it's just in one spot and how easy it is in that way. It's
We're not that way.
so comfortable to think about that, but it's also kind of scary. But yet, I'm like, well, it would be, I mean, every state is so different and everything, but we're always going to have that. But how do we, at least on a federal level, streamline that and make that better?
Right.
So that's the future, right? That's going to be, we'll see how it goes. But this was good. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
good topic.
Yeah.
Definitely.
If you liked what you heard today, don't forget to like, share, and leave a quick review. It's the easiest way to help other accountants and lawyers discover our little corner of the podcast world. And while you're at it, hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Do you have a question or a topic that you'd love us to cover? Drop us a line at info@accountantslawpod.com or send us a message through our website, accountantslawpod.com. Or you can always leave us a comment on any of our socials. Your idea might just make it into a future episode. If you want to go beyond listening, consider sponsoring an episode and connect with our community of accounting and legal professionals who love learning, laughing, and leveling up. And don't forget to join the conversation inside the Accountants Law Lab Mastermind group at accountantslawlab.com, where collaboration meets inspiration every week.
Cool. Thank you. That was good.
That was great. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.